Yes, hello. I am James Rowland. Today it's a WNR605. It is NXT update. I'm not alone. Of a pleasure to be joined by our resident NXT expert and New Japan demigod, and of course AEW Toxic Stanhausen. It is Monty. How's it going, man?
I'm doing good. I'm doing good. Excited to be back on the show. It's been a little minute. So, if I'm a little rusty, definitely be open about it. Call me the piece of trash that I can be. But I'm really excited. Always back to be, co-hosting an NXT update. Time to get down to the nitty gritty. I mean, it's time to catch up. I mean, so many fresh faces. We in a new era, so but I feel like if it's one thing, if you've been listening to NXT updates before, you guys probably should be used to a new era. Every few months, it feels like almost in NXT. So I'm excited to break this current one down.
Yeah, well, that's two guarantees, isn't there? Like usually we are catching up with NXT at some point in the year, and of course the people come along and it's a whole change again. Like I said, we've lost all the favourites, so now we have to kind of rebuild. This is the rebuilding stage.
Yeah, and it's kind of funny because losing the favorites is a great way to put it because you get people that you really like, and by the time they either start to come into their own, or you really start to appreciate the talent if it is some that you find present there, then it's time to go. You know what I mean? Like it's just like it's always it's timed perfectly. And I know we might not even be talking about him at all, but it makes me think about like how upset Shawn Michaels was about letting Javon Evans go because he really wanted Javon Evans to have a run on top of NXT. And when I seen him say that, I was like, oh, so he's just like us. He even realizes when they call people up too soon. So yeah, it's like you said, it's a cycle. As soon as we think someone is about to gonna go on a run and finally have the opportunity in the sun, it's usually time for them to go. So it's really 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 weird, but that's what makes NXT. I think that's why it deserves its own time. That's why we do these updates because it's really nothing else really like it in wrestling. If we're thinking about if we're really being honest, just for that alone almost.
Yeah, without a doubt. And the other thing as well that I don't think we've had a pod since it started is the World Cup or the
Yeah.
soccer, as you guys know. And, and actually, America aren't doing too bad at this moment in time. England are still in it, so it could be coming home. But has World Cup fever swept America?
To an extent, yeah. I mean, I think to be fair, I think maybe because of it, since so much has been going on in the country, it might be a little bit more than usual. Like I've always noticed when the World Cup happens, a lot of Americans tend to pretend to care a whole lot more about the world's favorite sport, of course. But yeah, I will say that because of we also getting a lot of influx of foreigners who are very very surprised about how horrible we eat, but they it's heaven to them, so they get to. I've been seeing a lot of Europeans and a lot of people from all around the world come and eat the great cuisine and different types of food that we have all the time here. And like, yes, you see why we lead the world in obesity, guys. We have great food. But yeah, no, it's been great. It's been cool. It's been nice to go to some of the sports bars and just see how populated it is with so many different cultures and so many different people just getting a kick out of it. So I, as an American, I can honestly say I know a lot of Americans are probably imitating, like, or acting like they are actually care. But like you said, the USA has done a lot better than I'm used to. So I do think as time has gone on, the country has seemed to be way more invested in it than usual. Like if we sucked like we usually do, then probably I don't know if we would care as much. But we're doing really well, and have been doing much better than usual. And like it's been kind of cool. It's been really really cool. And I do think that despite all of our differences and everything and how everything the USA gets wrong and everything a lot of places around the world gets wrong, it is cool to watch that pride that everybody has in their respective countries all come together, just to watch these games. It's really really cool.
Yeah, all right. So I think we want to talk about the World Cup, but let's switch to NXT now. We've got six NXTs, but there is no PLEs, so we're going to get right up. Well, we're not going to get up to date, but we're going to do enough here. We're going to start May 5th. And NXT start with a hype package for the various new additions to the roster that appeared at the last update. Tony D'Angelo tackled Tavian Heights backstage and started a brawl that others had to break up. We then got Callie Armstrong versus Jada Parker. And the two collided with similar impact early in this contest, showing off their hard-hitting offense and trash-talking attitude. Miss Parker continued to build momentum, rallied with the crowd until Armstrong raked the eyes and caught her with the Carly connection to win. I mean, Armstrong didn't look terrible. And again, this is a big victory because we know how much we like Miss Parker.
Yeah, I think that's probably more so. I'm more so just like surprised that with Jada's improvement, and or I'm not really surprised because I think on NXT it can turn on the dime. You can go from like I mean, look at our women's champion. She kind of went from putting over certain talents, even Kalani and people, just to kind of usurp them and end up being on top. So you never know in a few months, especially in NXT, where Jada Parker could be. She could be on top of the division. She could be in on the main roster. You never really know. But I do think you do wonder, like, what is the long term plan? Or is she in the put people over air? Because I do think it's more to being a babyface than just putting people over. So hopefully this is just like a small setback for something positive for Jada because I do personally for my taste think she could use more time in NXT. But I like Callie. I like the little flashes I've seen of Callie when she was in Evolve, and I love her athleticism, and I like the attitude so far. You know what I'm saying? So I think with a little bit more, obviously more time and giving her something, a storyline or something to sink her teeth into, Callie could be potentially, especially with that athleticism, could be potentially someone to watch. And I do, like you said, this is a big victory for her to kind of kickstart that push. I'm assuming, but yeah, you do wonder, like, what is the future for Jada Parker? How close is it to, main roster, or how close, or is she falling in favor? Who knows? But I do think, it's something to watch going forward.
Yeah, without a doubt. We've got Jasper Troy versus Jackson Drake. While Troy's power overwhelmed Drake one-on-one, Brad Baylor and Ricky Smokes continued to distract the big man to protect Drake. Troy threw Baylor and Smokes out of the way, but Myla Lockwood laid out Troy with body slam, followed by Drake's 450 splash to win. Let's not forget Myla went on a date with Jackson. I mean, I don't mind her. In a vignette, the former Evil proclaimed war against Tony D'Angelo. He made his in-ring debut next week under the name Naraku. Now, Monty, what do you think of Naraku as a name for the former Evil?
I mean, to be fair, it's an actual name, so it's kind of it's kind of it weird at first when I'm so used to calling them evil. I do think it's like it stands for something that's basically like it's Japanese for something that's basically evil anyway. I don't think it's actually the phrase evil, but it's like it's a great little nod to who he was. Also, I would have to look up the exact origin because I looked it up originally. So it does still has ties to who he is, but again, I don't think it's bad at all, honestly. When you really think about, it means hell, like hell, abyss.
Oh,
So like
right.
think like it might literally mean abyss. So like so it actually works still. So it's a name, but it also works as tying into who we know him to be. So yeah, it's when you get that piece of information, it makes it even better. But yeah, I don't mind it. I think it's easy for people. I even hear, and as the weeks go by, every now and then I heard on the Raku chant, which is hilarious when you think about. I've never heard an evil chant. I've never heard the people care enough to just like chant evil in that way. So it'll be interesting to see. But I think honestly that it's really good when you think about how bad names have been and how
Mm.
bad it could get. You can't really be that mad about Naraku, in my opinion.
No, without a doubt. Finley interrupted Birthright backstage alongside winning Regal by phone call, advised the group to step up and next in a six-man tag. Dempsey's had gone to England, apparently, and I think they need to be there in person because the phone calls aren't working. Zaraya arrived with a confident swagger and reveled in her freedom for Sol Ruka. She declared her intention to take the Women's North American Championship. Tatum Paxley arrived, sympathising with her anger, but warning that she was not going to let anyone take the title away. Lizzie Rain arrived, followed quickly by Nikita Lyons to call their shot. Lyons ran, began to brawl, but it was Zariah that laid out Lyons and Paxley to stand tall. I'll move on quickly from that because Noam Dar is back. Can you believe it, Monty? Out of every wrestler who has survived over the last God knows how many years, Noam Dar is back. He ran into the Vanity Project backstage and challenged Jackson Drake to a match next week. He was with some Spanish guy who was following him. I don't know. But again, it's great to see Noam back, you know?
I was hoping you knew more about this guy.
No, I don't know. I don't know.
The only thing I know about him is what I've seen, and then we can talk about that when they get in the ring. But yeah, I think this is great. This is awesome, at least for my person. Like you said, I 100% agree, man. It's been so long. It's been like it's been sad and lonely without knowing daughter. You know what I mean? It's just like and like you said, every time of a few releases happen, I was just looking at the list and like I just like, oh my God, no, Noam Dar somehow they still have a use for Noam Dar. Thank goodness. Like I'm happy because I know he has like so much untapped potential. Now again, I've long given up him doing something to where they would ever give him main roster opportunity. So I know he's probably at the stage of his career where he's probably going to be, helping out talent. And I see as you mentioned, some Spanish guy, he's probably going to be helping that guy out along the way. So I'd be interested to see how he interact with all the new faces and the young. Like you mentioned, when we don't know anyone, I do think it's really really cool to have a guy like a Noam Dar, like have some veterans, have some people there to kind of stabilize it for especially for me, who again is still trying to get acclimated to all these different characters and different people. But yeah, man, I'm happy and I can't wait to see not only what he have left because I know what he can bring in the ring, but how will they use him when we have so much young talent here?
Yeah, and that's the thing, isn't it? It's like I don't like that Spanish guy, but he is with Noam Dar, so I will give him a
Yes,
chance just for a second.
just because of
Uh,
that, right?
we were supposed to get Tony D against Tavian Heights, but Cole Hendricks, I don't know either, attacked the champion before he could head out. Tony D stormed off while Hendricks was banned from the building, and Robert Stone was forced to move that to the main event. He told Heights his match with D'Angelo was in the main event, as I just said. I've really got to get used to doing a podcast again and talking, you know. Lola Vice and Mr. Iguana versus the Cullings, Izzy Dame and Nico Vance. When the NXT Women's Champion got the tag, she rolled over Dame with a series of hard strikes. Vance tried to make the save, and the champs hit simultaneous hip attacks. After Vice hit a strong roundhouse, he stopped the referee's count and then took out Mr. Iguana outside, followed by a rocket kick for the victory. The Culling actually won a match. Oh my God. And Dame pinned the champion. But the Culling won. You know, that's two. Noam Dar's back, and the Culling won a match. My God.
Yeah, I mean, again, they look useful too. I don't know if it's just because Mr. Iguana was the partner, and I mean, obviously, Izzy Dane, which I don't think again NXT again has so many uniqueness. I don't know how many times in your career, man, of course, with the history of pro wrestling, I'm sure this number would be not be a lot, but like, how many factions do you know, James, where obviously the person that they're trying to get over in the faction is the one female. And you got an older guy in Spears, and I assume they care about Nico. I don't, but he kind of blurs into the background for me. I don't know about you. I don't really care much about what Nico has going on. Izzy Dame is obviously the focus, obviously the one that we're supposed to be seriously looking at here. So it's very very interesting to me that's what the culling is. Now, again, I don't really like them. They haven't been that interesting overall, but it was good to see Izzy Dame, like again, we finally moving forward because we've seen the attacks, we've seen the promos that are trying to set Izzy up as a serious contender, but pinning the champion does mean something.
She is the most successful out of a, like you said, an unsuccessful group. Which you got
Right.
to give her credit. You got to give her credit for that. Jada Parker crashed out, causing a mess until Natty appeared to question if Miss Parker had gone soft. Kalani Jordan mocked Lola until Kendall Gray arrived to challenge Laney. Then we got Dark State's Cutler James and Osiris Griffin. These are just names at the moment, you know that. Versus Hank Walker and Tank Ledger. Cutler and Griffin caught Tank diving outside and threw him onto Hank, followed by an assisted spin out powerbomb for the victory. Hank and Tank have been on and off TV. It's really weird what they've done with Hank and Tank. It's like, here's a tag team that might work, so let's take them off TV. I
I
just
don't
don't.
understand it, man. I really don't. Like, I've never seen a team have a match that I thought was supposed to make them the team of the brand. Like, I don't care what anyone says. If you saw the way that match where they beat Fraxium, and what that seemingly felt like it was going to turn into, and then, again, I know the division itself has been weak, but Hank and Tank felt like that match was going to present them as, the tag team, the premier tag team in NXT. And we just have not gotten it at all. Like, they just, like you said, they're one of the most irrelevant tag teams that I can think of that have a victory that makes them feel important. That, I mean, again, they've been booked so bad that I'm assuming that if you're not like us, who the maniacs who've been watching for years now, I don't know if you remember that they beat
Mm.
Fraxium and like did that. So yeah, it's really really weird their presentation, and now they're here, putting over James and Osiris, in this match. So yeah, man, it's very interesting when you think about just how far they've fallen. And Dark State is, still Dark State, but Hank and Tank are not like important at all, and it's really really real because weird because we seen them go to a gear that made it seem like they could be a good team. Now again, I'm the main proponent. I might as well get this on a t-shirt. Triple H don't care about tag team wrestling, but they might not even make it out of NXT as a tag team if you just really think about how irrelevant they seem at this point. It's crazy.
Yeah, it's like they're punished because they were, actually working as a tag team, and yeah, it's weird. Like, so again, didn't realize that the Culling and Dark State were on the same episode of NXT, which probably never ever happened before. Uh, We tried to get an interview with Keanu Carver, who was aggravated via questions. He clarified he was making money for his family and refused to play games with anybody. And then the main event, Tony D versus Tavian Heights. The athleticism of Heights allowed him an early edge against Tony, who grew angry throughout the contest. To forget about it, picked up a near fall. Heights followed up with belly to belly, but Cole Hendricks arrived to distract him. Miles Bourne dived onto Hendricks. That distraction allowed Tony D to hit the dead to rights for the win. Afterwards, Tony and Tavian shook hands, only for the same mystery man from last week to attack again. After sending the champion and challenger crashing the corner, he announced himself as Mason Rook. Wow, I'm just glad they didn't overbook it. That was my one worry.
Exactly. And I don't know how you feel. I don't hate Mason Rook. Mason Rook definitely seemed to have the potential. I could definitely see the potential of Mason Rook. But as far as the name goes, I'm not the most enthused. Here we go back to my Naraku point. I'm just saying it could be worse. Not a bad name. It's just okay, whatever.
Mm.
But what I also will say about this, because again, I could kind of see the potential in Rook. The Hendrix guy, like he did, I think he did it again. It's like I don't. First of all, I didn't know why I supposed to care about him, but like the second of all, like, and we can talk about it because we're gonna have a couple of new faces. I just feel like the NXT is confusing me with the way they're presenting some of the newer faces because to this point I have no clue who Hendrix is, what he can do, and what he's supposed to be. And maybe
Right.
if that's my fault, NXT or Evolve fans or LFG fans, because he could have came from LFG. Can't forget about that thing exists. Now,
Mm-hmm.
sometimes I forget that exists. I don't know where the hell he came from, but if I supposed to know, then you guys can, punish me or whatever on social media and tell me how, I can't believe you don't know who Cam Hendricks is. They don't even
Yeah,
sound like anybody would ever say that, James. But I'm just saying,
but even so, like introductory video, learning more about like Kiana Carver. There's been so many people. I don't know who it is.
right?
Do you know what I mean? Like you got to do it, space it out a little bit.
So
Like,
exactly, space it out. And so when this random guy, who I know, like before this, he also was a part of the Mason Rook's first surprise attack thing. But like again, I have little to no context for why he decided to mess up this match. So it was just like it was just such a weirdly executed thing. And again, I think they got the impact. If you're trying to get Rooks over, then sure, I do think he made an impact that fast. But again, like you mentioned, they just overbook it and you just come away from it like I say, it's one of those things about NXT. I sometimes I love the breakneck pace and how you never some that sometimes they throw up a lot of stuff into it, but when you don't know, it's a little bit different. It's different when I know the multiple storylines and you throw it all together. But when you just throwing it, it just this one felt really like no, just going out there and running. It all make sense in a couple weeks, and
Oh no.
so yeah, I don't really like that type of booking, but this was it was what it was. And I thought Heights and the crazy thing is I thought Heights and D'Angelo's having a solid match, but
Yeah.
just very weird booking there at the end.
Oh, you mentioned the impact that Mason Rook had. I'll use that to go to Impact May 7th. And the reign of Ariana Grace is over as Lee Ying Lee won back the Knockouts title on Impact. They main evented and it was okay, but I have no idea why they actually decided to have Grace as a champion because it didn't really accomplish anything. But again, this is not the first time Impact have that's happened to Impact, it seems, I just don't.
Yeah, I was really
Uh,
hoping that that we had something. Not necessarily that the end that Impact had something. I just thought maybe by the end of the storyline you would have came away from. Well, you know what? That was at least a I understand why they did that. It don't seem like you understand why.
it's a, it's like JC Jane, Kalani Jordan, and Ariana Grace for all held the knockout style for basically no reason whatsoever. But Lee Ying Lee is champion as of time I'm speaking. Well, not as time I speak. You know what I'm trying to say.
Right.
She's champion right now as we do this update. May 12th. I'm confusing myself. Right, NXT May 12th. We start with Tatum Paxley and Lizzie Rain versus Zariah and Nikita Lyons. The Hill slowed the pace down, isolating Paxley. Rain got the hot tag and she lit up Lyons and nearly picked up the win. Lyons ducked a 450 splash from Paxley. Zaria walked out of her tag partner and left her to take another thunderstruck for a Rain victory. I do have a new favorite tag team now, and I think Tatum and Lizzie are my ones right now, which means Tatum will go up on the main roster sooner rather than later and be lost, and they won't know what to do with Rain. But I did think this was really good, even if Lyons was involved. And we've talked about her in the past.
The funny thing is, I'm not trying to say Nikita Lyons has improved as a wrestler because other than like the little spin kick, which I don't necessarily mind, I do think she's a little bit more graceful than she ever was. But it's like, and I think her personality seems to be like when she's whatever this social media superstar thing character she got going on. I don't necessarily hate it. I remember she didn't have much else to offer. I do think she's doing a better job of having more to offer than her looks. And I would hope so, because I mean it's been what 3 years, 4 years now.
Yeah.
So you would hope she's improved at some point. So I give her a little bit of props here. And I think even when her Zarya kind of turned on her, she sold everything well. Now does that mean upward mobility for her in the future? I seriously doubt it. I think she's been surpassed by a lot of the women that we've seen come after her and before her in NXT. But other than that, though, like you said, this is fine. Like you said, I do love Tatum and Lizzie's chemistry together, not only in the ring, but they're doing personality wise, like outside the ring. Lizzie is gonna be fine. Like I can see Lizzie on
Mm.
top of the women's division, in the next 6 months or so. I think depending on how they decide to book her and how we get there is going to be interesting. But Liz definitely, I can see that potential. And like you mentioned, Tatum could definitely be on SmackDown or Raw before you know it. I don't know how that looks because whew, we don't even get me started. That's a whole nother conversation. But I would love to see. I just think she is, like you said, by far. As a matter of fact, if they don't want to do that, I wouldn't mind it like I mentioned earlier about like Javon Evans not getting a chance to run. Why not have one of the most compelling characters that you have in like a Tatum Paxley make a run for the world title. Not saying
Yeah.
if you don't want to rush to the main roster, even though seems like they might just rush up to the main roster. That might be the thing. But we'll see. We'll see in that front. But this was good, like you mentioned. I do think this was a good match overall. Even with Nikita there, I don't think she held it back at all. And Zarya was definitely not going to take that pin, and she don't even want to look responsible for this loss. Like she knew what was going on. It's like I'm teaming with Nikita Line. Like it's like she stood on the apron and thought about it. Like I'm teaming with Nikita Line. Why am I here?
Mm. Yeah, it's true. Uh, Kendall Gray told Ren Sinclair that she wanted her in a corner for the main event and they would never fall apart like Zaruka. Yeah, all right. This is
Okay,
NXT. Uh,
give it a few months.
yeah, you've never watched the show before, it seems. Fights arrived to offer a title shot to Gray if she beat Jordan in the main event. Naraku made his NXT in-ring debut. Vic talked up his accomplishments in New Japan. And weirdly enough as well, he faced Lince Dorado, who is a 205 Live legend. And it was so fucking weird. I wouldn't, a couple of years ago, if you'd have said to me that Evil will be wrestling Dorado on NXT, I probably said no. But again, he showed off his veteran experience, keeping Araku on his toes. But the former Evil still sealed his first NXT win with the Everything is Evil. Oh, no, wait a minute. It's called Enter the Abyss now. And he made clear that he is pure evil. But I tell you something, his presentation was on point.
And that's what I think I like the most about it. I thought, like you said, the match was fine. It was cool to see Lindsay, and because I haven't even seen him in a while, so that's one of them situations where it's like, oh yay, he's still employed in some way, shape, or form. Cool. So yeah, I had no problem with that. I also think they probably used him, to kind of, I love my boy, I love Evil, I love Naraku, but he is vertically challenged. So I think you use a cruiserweight to make the Raku, still, just some people's first impression of Evil. So you make him look a little bit bigger by making him fight, a cruiserweight. I don't necessarily think his height will hurt him, so to speak, because like you mentioned, the presentation and what he's trying to get across so far, seems to be on point in my opinion. They seem to have uh he seems to have like a mysticism to him that kind of rivals who he was in New Japan, but of course with a different little twist on it. So I can't wait to see what else they try to how else they try to implement. Because right now, we'll see how it looks in 6 months, because you never know with WWE or even NXT for that matter. But right now, they do seem to be taking the way what he presents as. They seem to be taking that seriously. So
Yeah.
I'm optimistic right now.
Yeah, times are tough when I think Evil's one of the best bets in NXT. I mean, the James of like 2 years ago just wouldn't believe you. And it's like you said in the last update, it did make me realise that Evil is the same height as Dorado. But we won't mention that was it. It didn't matter in the match.
Right.
Jada Park Jada Parker interrupted Natty's interview to question the veteran calling her soft. Tate Wilder, I've no idea. Promises partners backstage he would show out before DVD wished them good luck and said he would be cleared next week. Well, that's what we want. So we got Birthright versus EK Prosper, Sean Legacy, and Tate Wilder. And Wilder refused to tag out. Mr. Moonsault, Stacks and Connors met Wilder's face with running knees for a victory. What a fucking idiot that guy. I can't. What else can you say? Like,
Yeah, I don't even know. I agree. Like, I don't know how else to slice it. Like, it was pretty stupid. It was just stupid. It
it's
was
not.
very, very stupid. It didn't make any sense why he did that. The one thing I did like, which again, this type of stuff gives the kick out of me, is that the baby faces were so just befuddled by the rest of like they couldn't believe this idiot was doing this, to the point to where they just was like, when he got pinned, they was like, yeah, nope, nope, we're not continuing this match. We're not even gonna help him. Just screw it. Just screw it.
Oh God Almighty!
Because he just, like you said, he just wouldn't do anything, man. He just, like, he wouldn't listen. He did just went for. I have no clue.
Mm.
He, yeah, it was just very. And again, you know what? I give them prop, because for something that was just like a random 6-man tag, the story of I guess the Wilder kid, the story of him being, if you want to say inexperienced, you can say that's inexperienced, but like you mentioned, Jane, the truth of the matter is he's just a fucking idiot. But but I do appreciate that storyline of just him, his idiocy purely costing them the match, and just like there's no other way to kind of slice it. I give him a little credit for that because that was it's for something that could have just been a throwaway 6 man with a treat the heels cheat to win. They didn't even need to do it. It was great.
Mm. And it's good that Stacks isn't the stupidest person in the ring as well, So I
Right.
suppose that's helping. Backstage, Saint Paxley offered Lizzie Rain a title shot next week. Charlotte Hill arrived only to be interrupted by Tristan Angels, who guaranteed he would make a statement in his debut next week. And I got a little bit more information about Tristan. He competed in the Mr. England 2024 pageant, where he finished as the runner-up to me. He then compete. I'll be sorry to someone. He then competed in Mr. International, but unfortunately didn't finish in the top 16. All right, so let's not we won't talk about that. But and
So
literally that
that's why I supposed to care about his this pageant shit. Is that he's like a real life pageant guy? Like that that's it? Like, okay. All right, at
there
least they
was
give me that content.
there was no wrestling. 2 hours of searching, and it was just about. I'm going. Is this a wrestler? Like where's he wrestled? Like no, just pageants. So again,
Just a model. They found a handsome Englishman. It was like, let's just say, let's work. We can work on the wrestling thing. He's handsome enough. Let's just do that. Because that's really my only takeaway from it is that yeah, Shiloh's ugly. He's not. That's pretty much the story.
fuck you know.
Oh Lord, I was wondering what you thought about Mr. Angels from that perspective. Not only because the history, just like they're also trying to make it. I mean, it's obvious with his accent, but like every criticism that Shiloh has is like the stereotypical. Oh yeah, you're English, yeah, and like and Angels just continues with the classiness stereotype. It's a very very unentertaining story, but I wanted to know what you thought about it.
Well, we wondered where the stereotypes went. We talked about this. There's not enough
We did.
racial stereotypes, and they were like, do you know what? Let's bring them back. All right, we've got
Yeah.
angels, we've got some random Spanish guys probably eating paella. Do you know what I mean? Let's just bring. You got Naraku, who's I don't think on this update, but we'll do what traditional Japanese hills do. Do you know what I mean?
Yes,
It's
yes,
it's all
yes, you did.
it's
Yep,
all the
yep.
same. So, but to be fair, and I don't want to ruin anything, but the pageant contest did change my opinion a little bit. But we will reach
Okay.
that when we get to it. Um, in a pre-tape, McCullen talked over the next steps, and Izzy Dame told Nick Vance one-on-one to help her watch Vice closely tonight. Robert Stone tried to sign Mason Rook to his NXT contract, but Tony D'Angelo arrived to tell the newcomer he had made a mistake by attacking the champion twice. Cam Hendricks tried to attack Tony, only to get knocked down. Security tried to calm tensions, but Rook moonsaulted out the ring onto the officers. He finally signed his contract as Stone reprimanded him before staring down the NXT champion. Rook brought up John Cena's social media endorsement, making that official NXT canon. And I can confirm Rook and Reign aren't siblings. They are, in fact, just English.
Thank you. Thank you for confirming that because the internet was definitely for some reason because I ain't see no resemblance. But here we go.
When they both speak, they're all like, oh, mate, how's it going? Do you know what I mean? They're all, how's your father? Um,
Yeah. Unfortunately, the Twitter is not immune to just stereotype them together, I guess. Oh
well,
man, but yeah, I do think that's pretty cool. That for some, I don't know exactly what attracted Cena to Rook. Like, I mean, maybe he just saw a very athletic. Hey, there's one thing I know as a guy who's been a fat guy my whole life. It's nothing like an athletic fat guy, man. Hey, fat athletic fat guys really know how to get the party going. Like,
yeah.
but people love athletic fat guys. I don't know why. They just
I
do.
think you've got another T-shirt. Do you know what I mean? We are printing.
Yeah, another t-shirt right there. People love
we are,
athletic fat guys.
we are printing money. We went to OTM at a poolside barbecue, talking up Bronco Nema's support of his little brother and Lucian Price's artistic love. So again, trying to get a different side to OTM. Miles Bourne told an annoyed Tavian Heights backstage that Bourne and Tony would face Hendricks and Rook next week. Stone also had a deal with Naraku laughing in his face backstage, and Tate Wilder asking for another match, which Stone gave him against Keanu Carver. Also in the locker room, Moreno tried to hype up. Moreno, that's his name. Right. So the Spanish dude's called Moreno, and he tried to hype up Dar before his match with the Scottish, but the Scottish Supernova clearly lacked his usual confidence. Yeah, well, we can see why. Lockwood carried Drake on his shoulders in a new Vanity Project entrance. So we've got Jackson Drake versus Noam Dar. Dar caught Drake in l'armbar for near submission. Drake escaped outside, and while Dar fought off Balaam and Smokes, Lockwood grabbed his leg to set up a running knee and a 450 splash for the win. Technically, Jackson had his shoulders down for the pin, but hey, as the Vanity Project celebrated, Dark State arrived to confront the NXT Men's Tag Team Champions. I don't know. Again, the Vanity Project. I like the Myler Lockwood kind of relationship. I like that.
Yeah.
But again, I don't know what they're doing right now. I'm not saying just because they're a tag team champions and we've got no use for them. But do you know what I mean? Even with the match with Noam Dar, is it Dar going to turn on that guy? And it's just I don't know. I don't know. I don't mind it.
Yeah, I think that's what it is. I think the Lockwood relationship really helped me care a little bit more about them. Even because right now, Lockwood is like by far the strongest member. like she saves their asses, and I do think that is like very very entertaining. It's much in a similar way to like when it was just Triple H and Shawn and DX, and like they were like not less way a lot less entertaining version of this, guys. Don't get me wrong. I'm not trying to say
Yeah.
this is young
You say
DX.
what?
I
Yeah.
don't mean that. I'm not trying to say that they are that. I'm saying that in moments where Shawn and Triple H were being cowardly heels and the baby faces had them dead to rights, China would always save the day. And China would always be there. And I do think that's kind of what the booking of the way Lockwood is. Like Lockwood is absolutely destroying guys and they take advantage of it. So I do appreciate and kind of enjoy that book. And I do think at the very least, it's made them a lot more entertaining just having that element to them. Because at first they were just like you said, young and just cocky. We've seen everything that they brought to the table before that. But when you add Lockwood to them, you give them something a little bit different, a little bit unique. So we'll give it a chance, and I do think they are the benefactor of just it not really being anything interesting around them, and that like who else is somewhat of an interesting or team that make you think about them at this moment right now. Like they want us to care about about Dark State. That's basically where we get right now in the tag division. Everybody else are either or like just thrown together teams or new. So I do think at this point right now, Vanity is not bad to watch. It's very interesting to see though. It'd be nice to see about Noam Dar. Like, what is it? Because I do think, although I like Noam Dar, I do think like I know, he's much better as a bad guy. So, how
Mm.
long is the relationship in Morena with his relationship with Morena? How long is that gonna last before he kind of shows those colors that we're used to, or is he going to kind of stay in this kind of role right now? It'd be interesting to see because as long as I know Noam Dar, he's usually going to end up a heel again.
Yeah. Well, again, even like I'm not an Vanity Project, but do you know what I mean? That as not maybe even a leader or whatever it is, do you know what I mean?
Oh
The
yeah,
older experience. And another thing you said with my Lockwood, and something that gets forgotten about a lot, and I don't want to go on about it too much, but having muscle in your corner, do you know what I mean? I think that's
yeah,
such a thing that should be used so much more because when you look at the success it's had, yeah, you've had a few that hasn't, your Tyson Tomkos and your fucking Luther Reigns, but do you know what I
right.
mean? Like even in NXT, like Trick Williams was essentially that to begin with. So I think it's interesting that should be looked at. And I think someone like Noam Dar with muscle could work on the main roster, even though they probably won't even try, will they? Anyway, the main event: Kalani Jordan versus Kendall Gray, with Ren Sinclair on crutches in Gray's corner. Gray and Jordan exchanged athletic offense early in the contest. Gray caught Jordan mid, one of a kind moonsault with an ankle lock. Jordan flipped her into a three, only to get caught with an armbar. And when the action continued, E.T. Dame attacked low device backstage. The ball spilled into the arena when Ren got knocked down, distracting Gray. That distraction allowed Jordan to trip Gray, followed by the one of a kind moonsault for the victory. Afterwards, Gray argued with Vice about Ray's injury until Dame laid out Vice with a big boot to the back of the head and stood tall with the NXT Women's Championship. Monty, I'm just glad he didn't overbook the main event. You know, that's all I'm saying.
2 weeks in a row too, by the way. Similar type, similar type deal in a sense. So I'm glad they're not running out of ideas. But again, I don't hate this. I think actually, Jordan and Gray have really good chemistry. I think obviously at this point, I'm gonna be honest with you. If you don't like Kendall Gray, your only argument to me as far as not liking Kendall is that obviously management likes her and they're kind of forcing the issue. But I think as far as her wrestling quality goes, and just like the moves she does and like the way everything looks on a weekly basis, and even now you see it not only with just Lola Vice, but even with someone like Kalani, who by the way I think is just really good in the ring. Like she always had the athleticism, but I think Kalani as a heel has really starting to put the pieces together in the ring. The problem, like I always say, the thing with Kaylani is just the believability and the character, and that's kind of like the thing with her. But other than that, I think in the ring she's really coming into her own, and I think this match was a good little sign. But like you mentioned, they can't help themselves when they got two people that they like. They have to kind of they have to you know make the finish and make everything a little bit just confusing and complex. They gotta intertwine everybody's feud in with something that's going on in the main event. They've done it 2 weeks in a row. So yeah, that's probably the biggest drawback, but I don't think the match was bad. I thought both ladies looked pretty good, and the finish does make sense for Kaylani winning that way. It may not be the smoothest thing, but it was good for Kaylani to get a win like that.
Yeah, without doubt. May 14th, Impact. You'll never guess what Impact did. So, Leon Slater was 1 day away from becoming the longest reigning X Division champion in history if he could get past Cedric Alexander in a 2 out of 3 falls match. This being Impact, he lost. So, so the record stays with Austin Aries. That is crazy. And the lights then went out, and the former I say NXT champion, tag champion Fabian Eichner walks down the ramp when TNA goes off the air. Wow. I don't know. I mean, Monty, I mean, Eichner, of course, people might not know Giovanni Vinci, if that's right. But man, what the fucking hell is that with Leon Slater, you know?
I mean, it was to the point to where as soon as I seen it, I had to message you. It was like, have you seen Impact? Did you see what the hell did they do? Because I just couldn't believe it. Like, again, not trying to make this might just be the T-shirt episode of the show. I'm not trying to make another T-shirt about Impact, but they just Impact is going to Impact. They're going to make things significantly harder when you think they got something. When you think they got an easy shot or something, they're going to make everything as difficult on themselves as they really can. Apparently, I don't understand it. Like it just seems like it's such a simple thing. And then my only thing is too is like it'd be different if he had like, oh well, he got to survive this month. No, it's just one more. Just win the match, and then he makes history, and it's like even if it's not, I'm not even trying to make this. I'm not even trying to act like it's gonna make or break his career. It's still something, in my opinion, that you can just update your record books, and it gives attention. If I read the headline, and let's say I don't watch Impact or know much about it, but I read the headline that this kid broke the record, this guy that I don't know much about, oh yeah, you may not know him, but he's the longest reigning, whatever. It's gonna give some people who may not watch the opportunity. But well, let me look up Leon Slater's matches and maybe I need to start watching this guy just off the strength, and at the very least, it'll give like Impact a chance to be in the news for like wrestling fans other than for doing something stupid. Like it'd be nice to have like a positive or a headline that make people that might draw interest instead of just have a headline that make you wonder what the hell Impact got going on. So it just was stupid on many levels. But and then it also, if you're gonna do this, and again, no problem because I love Sid and I know the match was pretty good, because I watched it. But if you're gonna do that, at least have us putting over someone else who can gain something from it. Because I love Sid, but what does he gain from that from ending the reign there when you could have waited a couple of days and had Sid win it then? Like it was really that simple. So I don't get it.
No, and again, it's like, oh, well, Leon was going to leave. Well, he fucking definitely is now, then, isn't he?
Right. Definitely gonna leave. And then it's nothing that you can't rectify. Like, oh man, he left the company, so we don't want to give him the record. Oh, how about okay, whatever. It's just stupid. At the end of the day, you can't really. It just makes no sense.
Yeah.
I don't understand that justification either.
Especially when Austin Aries holds the champion, holds the record.
Right.
Who,
It's not like it's an AJ Styles record or like or
if
so. You know
anybody,
what I mean?
yeah, if anybody's seen Impact and see what he did at Bound for Glory with John Morrison, do you know what I mean? Like that,
Right.
call yourself a TNA fan. But yeah, oh well. Like I said, TNA will be TNA. NXT May 19th, we start with the champs. Tony D'Angelo, Miles Bourne taking on Mason Rook and Cam Hendricks. Tony D got the hot tag. He was rolling to Rook, dived on him with a running senton. Bourne tagged back in following a massive brawl. Taven Heights tried to help Bourne, but accidentally bumped into him. This set up Rook for a corner Death Valley driver, followed by a fireman's carry power slam. Hendricks got the blind tag and stole the pin from Rook. I mean, I don't know. This wasn't a bad match. People have said that Rook's theme is ever so similar to Mason Ryan's theme. But again, I mean, you couldn't really get two more different people, I don't think. But I don't say this often as well, but I think this was good for the men's division. Even though fuck Cam Hendricks, do you know what I mean? At least now it's like, okay, there's three or four, you know?
Yeah, man. And I'm gonna be honest. Shout out to whoever remember Mason fucking Ryan thing. Who remembers that? Man, I thought I was a real fan. I couldn't tell you the first note or anything of that. But yeah, I agree. I think that's one thing I will say. We finally have. I may not have anything good. I'm not gonna say anything good because I don't have anything really to say at all about Hendricks. He just everything about him so far feels generic. I've seen that before. I've seen someone talk about Showtime. I've seen a cocky young guy. Even the gear is not inspiring right now. So maybe obviously that all of that can change. But yes, and obviously I think even you can tell with the way they book it, Rook is the one that they care about, and he's the focus of this entire kind of match, the way they even put it together and how impressive he looked. So I do think that's cool too. I think we obviously seem to have something now because think about it. When the last time have we been able to book the world champion, North American champion, and actually have like three other people who you can reasonably say is a contender for one or both of those belts? And it actually be a prominent match on NXT. Like that's how low our numbers was. Like we've been struggling, man. So anybody of any type of interest, even if that some of them are new faces and they're kind of forcing the issue, honestly, in this scenario, I understand forcing the issue because that's how low we were on like viable contenders and wrestlers to kind of put in this situation. So yeah, I do agree. I think this is at least a good sign for our men's division right now. And now it's all up to, how fast, how much NXT can capitalize on the Rook's momentum, and as far as Cam Hendrick goes, how fast he come along to actually be someone you look forward to seeing. That's the type of stuff that we kind of got to look forward from here. But and even for Heights, I don't, it'd be interesting to see what the whole. And I know he kind of came off like he didn't mean to do it, but this may be something that'll finally advance his character because obviously something's going on there with him and Bourne and all that.
Yeah. And the other thing's funny as well, that Bourne just doesn't defend that championship anymore. Do you know what I mean? Like the workhorse
Yeah.
title. And for the top I can't remember the last, and that just shows, like I said, the lack of depth in the men's division,
Exactly. Like, and I think if you remember, they started off strong. Like, I think like the first few weeks, he had some contenders and was having competitive matches. So it seemed like they were going to try their best to keep it going. But like you said, we just don't have the depth. Like after a couple of weeks of wrestling, you run out of contenders.
Well, we've got Lennox and Sugars. They promised Griffin and James they were on the same page with no arguments over the last week, so I think seems fine there. Kalani Jordan questioned what she needs to do to get an NXT title opportunity. Is he Dane interrupted to make her own case for title shot, which brought out Lola Vice? The champion agreed to defend the title against Dame next week before Kendall Gray arrived. She distracted Lani for the tap by Ren Sinclair with her crutch and nothing really accomplished. Backstage, Sean Legacy told DVD they would fight in the speed tournament next week. In the women's locker room, Jada Parker demanded to speak to Natalia and need to meet a mentee, Layla Diggs. They agreed to fight next week. Romeo convinced Star to stand in his corner for his match. So we've got Tristan Angels versus Romeo Marino. He fought hard against the debuting Cocking Angels, helped by distraction of Hill. However, Mr. England would not be denied in his debut match, sealing the victory with a rocker dropper. Afterwards, Angel mocked Hill, responded by declaring his plan to become Mr. NXT. And despite Narendar coming out in the corner for the match, he didn't factor in at all, really. He just kind of just sat there and watched, I suppose. But, you know. The men's and women's NXT and North American champions congregated backstage. Afterwards, Naraku arrived to make clear Tony needed to watch out. Izzy argued with Sean Spears after he advised he got a tag team match with Nico Vance against OTM next week. The North American Championship, Tatum Paxley versus Lizzie Rain. Here we go. This was a wild, high-energy contest where the crowd was behind both champion and challenger. Rain started to wear down Paxley with machine gun chops and a smothering drop. Tatum caught Rain diving, went for a cemetery dive, but the champion countered into a headbutt. The exchange near full pin attempts for Paxley transitioned into the cemetery dive for the win. Callie Armstrong was shown watching closely backstage, indicating she's in line for a future shot. And afterwards, Zariah arrived to lay out both women and stand tall with the Women's North American Championship. But as for the match, Monty, this was fantastic. Probably my favourite match of this update.
Um, yeah, I mean, honestly, I think like we spoiled. We very spoiled in the women's division in NXT, and I just think that especially like when the way she counted, they counted into the cemetery drive and just I mean cemetery dive, and it was again. I think that closing sequence was really, really good too, and I just think they kind of developed a really strong match just overall. It went from like very technical base to a match that kind of gradually built until we got to that conclusion. And yeah, man, I think for Lizzie, they kind of this is the way I prefer you to give me some new faces presentation. They gave you the vignette. She's had a couple matches. She had like a squash match or two. Had a little mini feud, and then she immediately, kind of slowly but surely, every week pushed herself towards some championship contendership. And I think, like you mentioned in this match, her and Tatum Paxley, who by the way, who is just like I don't know if there's any way to kind of put this into context, but I just know every time I watch Tatum Paxton now, I think back to when Diamond Mine existed in NXT. And like Ivy now didn't want a team with her. Like that's how far back we go with Tatum Paxton now. But like that athlete of a woman who was trying to be around Diamond Mine that and like what she's developed into as a character over the last few years is really what makes following NXT or really what makes following and then being in pro wrestling too, just like pro wrestling in general. I think when we get those arcs for characters and watching people develop, and like when I think about how you can go back a few years ago and maybe you didn't think Tatum Paxley could even have a 5 to 10 minute match to where now she's not only I don't want to say leading the way here for Lizzie Ryan, but I do think the match and the story she told in this match is a great example of her improvement and like how good she really is now. And like Lizzie Ryan, in my opinion, is definitely going to be a staple and she could be a big time star for the women's division in general. I don't want to say too much because I feel like I did it with Roxanne. I feel like I definitely did it when we had Stephanie, and then they end up calling people up Wade, they call them
Yeah.
up. They call them up so fast when you talk about how good they are. So I'm trying to not to say that Lizzie is that good yet. Like, oh, I think she got room to improve, guys. I got, I think
Yeah,
she,
she has at least another couple of years. You know, she's got to have a heel turn at some point as well. You know,
yeah,
like,
yeah, yeah, yeah. Right,
but like I said, Tatum is just one of those that had the character work. It's just developed, like you spoke about, and this is what NXT
right.
is all about. It's the character and the in ring now as well. As like you said, he's up there with the very best in NXT. So yeah, this was very venty, very entertaining. Unfortunately, we had Kiana Carver versus Tate Wilder next. Tate's the fucking idiot from the six-man tag team match. He went for a moonsault, and Carver knocked him down with a pounce, followed by a take a buck for the victory. Um, OTM signed Charlotte Hill's petition to become Mr. NXT while Birthright took offense. Charlie Dempsey challenged him for next week. I guess Dempsey's back. Cam Hendricks was in the ring, called his shot. Not for Miles Bourne's North American champion, but instead Tony D'Angelo's NXT championship. Mason Rook arrived to question Hendricks' attitude. When Hendricks refused to give Rook credit, the big man laid him out with a corner Death Valley driver. Before the main event, Lockwood promised to make sure both Griffin and Cutler did not get involved. That's what we like. So the NXT Tag Team Championship was Vanity Project versus Dark State with Lennox and Sugars. When Lennox got the hot tag, he began to push the pace. Lennox hit a spine buster followed by a blind tag. Sugars diving elbow drop for a near fall. Dark State began to argue, allowing Smokes to catch him with an inside cradle for the win. Afterwards, Griffin and James shockingly laid out Sugars, and Lennox followed their lead. Together, they triple powerbomb to form a Dark State through the announce table. The tag division is still shit, but Monty, at least you got your wish with Sugars getting a chance now to be out of Dark State.
More proof that someone's listening to the show, guys. Like someone's listening to in particular the NXT update because I have definitely been asking for this, and I don't know. They might have different reasons for me because I said I want Clone Sugars in a singles run because I think he's by far the most interested and probably the better of the three. I mean, of the four wrestlers, I think in this situation, he was the best, and the most developed, so to speak. I guess is the best way to kind of describe it. But like, you know, so this is one of those situations where I watched him get beat up, and I was actually kind of happy that that was the outcome because, again, I'm not really, I don't think it's no qualms about it. Dark State, in my opinion, just hasn't worked, and I do think maybe the best chance for them to work will be in this three-man incarnation because sometimes, sometimes that might be the best era of certain groups when you keep the numbers down and you got like a clear leader and you got a clear tag team and maybe that'd be impress. Maybe that's the best route for them. Even though I'm not gonna act like I see Dark State having all the gold or anything anytime soon. Like I don't really see that in their future either. But I definitely can see a brighter future for Sugars, and I think this is the chance to see how far that actually can go. And and I think obviously at first he's probably gonna have to Tony D'Angelo his own group, which means he's probably gonna beat all of them. And then, and then we'll see what he actually can do as a solo star in NXT. But I do see the potential. So, yeah, man, this is a. I do think also though, I don't think the beatdown was half bad. I actually thought that it actually was a pretty good and pretty compelling beatdown. So, yeah, I like this, and I'm very optimistic that for the future for sure, of course, more so than like the entire group. But again, we'll see.
Yeah, I think with Dark State, if you just watch the kind of beat downs and the promos, you'd be like, oh, not too bad. It's just like you said, the booking and the in ring kind of stuff at this moment in time. But hopefully that will improve. We have to go back to Impact May 21st, and TNA International Champion Mustafa Ali defeated Chaz Starboy Hall. I'm told he's from NXT apparently, so I don't know. Okay. Steve Macklin returned from injury to lose to Mike Santana. Don't worry, Steve. It's going to get worse in the next update. May 26th, NXT, Kalani Jordan versus Ren Sinclair. Jordan attacked Sinclair mid-entrance to start this match with control as Sinclair tried to rally. Her knee buckled, but she refused to tap out, even dodging a one-of-a-kind moonsault, but she ran out of answers. Jordan locked in an elevated inverted reverse figure four, similar to the Halls of Pain for the tap out. And I'll tell you something, NXT just can't go wrong with starting with a women's match, you know, and especially if they finish with one as well. It's a nice sandwich. But NXT is just like, we'll put on a good match for you, you know, women's match to begin with to pique your interest, and then we'll give you the shit, you know.
You know what? And maybe that might be a great D key strategy. And because I do agree with that. They seem to be the way to go when it comes to the way that they put things together. I mean, this match was pretty solid too, you know, like you mentioned. What I will say is my favorite thing about this match overall is the not only the development of Kalani, but I just think that that wrenching back in the way she kind of finished it. One of my favorite things. I know we don't speak about this guy anymore because you know obviously he did horrible things, but I used to love when you know Benoit, but not just him. I think even Kurt used to do it. I used to love when you target a limb, whether they came into the match with an injury or not, and then the heel holds on to the submission well after, like some sadist. It was always great. It was always cool to me, and you know, I love that. Now I did thank Kim the Gray. I'm like, you know, you can stop her. You don't have to sit there and yell stop her. But you know, despite that, I got a really good kick out of the match. I do think it was a very enjoyable way to start off the show. And you know, I thought Ring Sinclair did a good job of like garnering sympathy, you know, and I wonder you know, I wonder, like you said, what I think right now this is a good role for where Sinclair is, and I think Kalani is also on a little role of her own too, you know, picking up the victories the way she's been doing.
Yeah, well, Dark State called out Second Sugar's lack of athletic traits next to their collegiate background, mocking his independent wrestling background. Cutler James called Sugars reckless, while Dion Lennox admitted that he could have been odd man out as well. Lennox brushed past his recent mistakes and claimed to be the reason Dark State even exists despite not being a leader. Cyrus Griffin refocused the group on their goal to take the champions and capture gold. Yeah, good luck with that. Backstage, Charlie Hill went Azaria hunting with Lizzie Rain, who was looking for revenge after last week's attack. Then we got the Men's Speed Championship tournament, Sean Legacy versus DVD. The 3 minute time limit ran out as Legacy laid out Van Dux with a suplex, and both competitors left frustrated. They showed each other respect afterwards. I've got nothing for these guys at this moment. Do you know what I mean? Like, I did see quite a funny clip with DVD. I don't know if it was on an LFG or fucking whatever, and they were talking about how small he was, and he really lost his temper because he was like, "I've got £20 more muscle than Sean Legacy, wherever it was," and it's just, I think that's the most I've seen from him, and that wasn't on an XT. You know, like,
Yeah. I do
yeah.
chuckle because he's way too big to do most of his moves set. That's what I laugh at. I don't think that's bad because I don't mind muscly guys flipping, but it is funny to watch him do a lot of his moves. You know, him and Sean Legacy, I think they might have a lot more potential, but they are locked into this speed crap. So as long as they're having 3 minute matches, how the hell are we supposed to gather much more of an opinion on who they are? You know, I think if you can impress me in a few minutes. I don't know exact. My thing is, I don't know how impressed I'm supposed to be by that because it's only a few minutes, you know. So I
Yeah.
mean, we'll see, we'll see. We'll give it time. I did before he left for injury. I did see a little bit of Sean Legacy and think, okay, NXT might have something there. They might book him a certain way, but he got injured, and so since coming back, he's just been in speed. So I mean, I guess we'll see if that leads to anything significant for him or, you know, or not. But other than that, yeah, I'm kind of in the same boat as you. I don't really have much to say about them other than they look okay, but it's only 3 minutes of wrestling.
Yeah, right down. Jada Parker versus Layla Diggs. Miss Parker dodged the moonsault, then hit the hypnotic, followed by a choke bomb for the win. Let's not forget that Diggs is Natty's protege, I guess. NXT champion Tony D'Angelo arrived to call out the man he saw as a true threat to his title, Naraku. He arrived to make clear he would protect the champion until they reached their destiny and went to war for the NXT Championship. Cam Hendricks arrived to mock Tony ahead of the match next week. The champion was not phased by what the challenger said. When Hendricks tried to sneak attack Tony, Naraku stopped him and clotheslined him out of the ring. Again, and I think we explained it more with what Naraku's doing, but I quite like that in a way where he's kind of protecting his investment, so to speak, you know?
Yeah, it's an interesting angle. It's definitely an interesting angle. I also love how there's just like no qualms about these two. It feels like to me, and I don't know about you, but like no matter even with Cam Hendricks coming in and the promos, it feels like they've already placed Naraku as the clear number two in a sense of like this is who you we want you guys to worry. If you're worried about Tony D's reign, you worry about it because of this guy. This is the guy to watch, and I do appreciate that. And I agree. I do think it's a different. I'm not really you're not really used to that angle always, but I do think it's creative. The whole protecting your investment in a way. So yeah, I like it, and I don't really I'm not really opposed to it. It is funny because again. I think already I've seen WWE make seemingly already make Evil have way more personality than he ever had to show at least animation wise, animated wise. But you know, again, it's been cool because again, as somebody who watched New Japan Evil, you get used to seeing those guys, and so we're like, think about it this way: you've been watching long enough now to get what I mean. You see Tomohiro Ishii, and like even though he's conglomeration, so to speak, he's still Ishii. Like nothing really else about him changed at all. And a lot of times that's kind of how it happens when you follow a New Japan wrestler or a Japan wrestler. Once they get that gimmick that works for them, maybe who they're dealing with changes, maybe how they, maybe every now and then, you know, certain elements change. But for the most part, they are that guy for, you know, until they leave or go somewhere else. So it's been really interesting to watch a different, it's the same, but it's very different in my opinion so far of what he's doing as Naraku. So it'll be interesting to see how that develops and how much more changes, if any at all.
Yeah, without a doubt. Backstage, Miles Bourne and Tavian Heights argued about last week's miscommunication until Dark State laid both men out. Vanity Project mocked Tate Wilder backstage about his injury, courtesy of Keanu Carver. Wilder challenged Jackson Drake for next week. Mason Rook questioned Robert Stone's decision to give Hendricks the match next week, and Naraku warned Rook to stay out of that match. Men's Speed Championship Tournament, Nathan Fraser versus Romeo Marino. At the 30-second mark, Marino knocked Fraser outside. He tweaked his ankle on the floor. Fraser fought back with a suplex, but Marino caught him with a small package to win with 2 seconds left on the clock. The two men showed each other respect afterwards as Birthright watched from the elevated stage. Again, man, why do they have to do this with Fraxium? You know, what? Why? Just bring it. Either bring them back, and let's have them. But we don't want this. But what I didn't mind is them saying to Dar, like, you know, oddball tag team work for us, like, so to speak.
Yeah, I agree. I think that's the I do agree. I think that's the most interesting part of this. And I'm very confused. Like I said, I don't want to see Nathan Frazier in a speed match. I agree. I don't want to see him. I don't. I
Well,
think
they're
I don't.
losing as well. Like, do you know
Yeah,
what I
and
mean?
losing right in a speed match and losing. So I don't really want to. I agree. I'm not really there, but like. I think at this point, because the main roster has just kind of like whatever, I wouldn't be surprised if Fraxium asked, could we go do some work in
Mm.
NXT? You know what I mean? Just to get back on TV, just to get back in the swing of things. Hell, they might pop up in AAA, you know, before you know it, just to get it, because that's just how underutilized they've already been. So, yeah, man, it's very interesting in my opinion. It's very interesting in my opinion of that angle of it. And I don't know. I don't know what to think. Again, maybe at this stage in the career, Noam Dar and young guys, a tag team might, you know, make the tag division a little bit more interesting. I'm not, I wouldn't be optimistic about, you know, I don't know about it long term, but you know, at this point, beggars can't be choosers in our tag division. I don't know if you noticed, James.
Earlier night, Izzy questioned where Spears was ahead of the two culling matches. Spears attacked OTM with a steel chair from behind, leaving the two unable to compete. Izzy continued to question Spears' judgment, further favouring Nico. And then we've got Cully Armstrong talking confidently about a future in front of the women's locker room. Thea Howell warned her not to aim too high. And then Hill distracted Zaria for an attack by Lizzie Rain. Security had to separate the two women. And then Charlotte Hill versus Charlie Dempsey. Dempsey utilised his technical acumen. Hill managed to reverse Dragon suplex into a bridging suplex on his own for the surprise free count. After Tristan Age would interrupt the celebration, announced a Mr. NXT pageant in 2 weeks' time, and both men have promised to embarrass the other. Um, Again, Hill is one of those dudes like we talk about, goofy Baron Corbin, but like Charlie Dempsey, man, like what is going on? You know what I mean? Like what is this?
I ain't never seen somebody who I was so excited to get to NXT after loving what he did in NXT UK because I thought out of everybody that they kind of, as a matter of fact, we just talked about. I'm Fraxium to be example is probably the best, and I think as a matter of fact, yeah, you're gonna have to correct me if I'm wrong. Outside of like obviously like, and I don't think she really counts, but like we could say Rhea Ripley, but outside of like that, especially of that era that we covered on this podcast, Fraction is by far the most successful NXT UK, you know, talents that ended up being kept when they kind of dissolved it and like prospering in NXT. And then I guess you can always go if you again if you want to go all the way back and talk about what Pete done and et cetera, and even Bate, who had periods of time. But I'm just going off that not only that period of time that we covered, but just uh just how much they actually prospered in NXT overall. And I just don't know if anybody was more successful than Fraction. But like I really thought Charlie Dempsey coming from NXT because I knew how young he was. I knew he had only scratched the surface because he came into NXT UK, pretty much close to the end of it. So I just knew they had so much, ground that they could pick up. And he's been here for a while and like have never not sniffed any type of prominence, and I have no clue why. I don't know why they don't seem to like him enough to give him a push or ever or like or anything or even like a main focus. Like he had his own group, and I still don't think he ever was pushed. Like
No,
I don't know why. I don't know why that he's just like a guy who's being used, and like he's in a group again with Stacks, and he's the loser.
yeah. But again, the NXT UK version of him was this more kind of like, do you know what I mean? Legitimate,
Yeah,
stretch
legit.
type,
And they
And
and they
again,
say he'll stretch you out now, but they don't even let him do it now. So
that's what I'm saying. So again, is it the fact of like, is he not goofy enough to do what they want to do? And it's like even the Regal and Finley thing has not helped the birthright out, has it? So
nope.
it's interesting what happens. NXT Women's Championship on the line. Lola Vice versus Izzy Dame. Spears and Nick Advance started in Izzy's corner, but Nima and Price arrived to brawl with a culling. Izzy accidentally laid out the referee with a running knee. The two women exchanged strikes until Vice connected with a spinning back fist, but the referee was groggy, allowing a 2 count. Izzy booted the NXT Women's Championship in the face of Vice, but the champion still managed to kick out, and she followed with another spinning back fist to win. And then the show ended in dark state in the parking lot, promising more destruction was coming, while Sacco and Sugars watched from above. Um, Again, I don't know. I suppose it's a cool visual, but the match itself, I mean, Izzy, we've talked about her. It might not be the greatest in ring, but Lola needed a defense, so to speak.
Yeah, and I don't think the match itself was bad. I mean, I do think the interference at this point. How many main events are we gonna get with something happening with like an interference in there? But again, it was good. It wasn't the best, but to be honest, it did have a lot of interesting stuff. The tension stuff, and Lola got the defense, like you mentioned. I don't think, the ref bump and all of that was necessary, but again, you got to kind of sometimes when you don't have the most interesting, combination in the ring, you kind of got to do what you can to kind of add some spice to it. But like you mentioned, Lola got the experience, and I think Izzy also got the experience, which can be good for her too. And I don't know. I don't think I can say for Izzy Davis that I hope we can see some improvement as the more they seem to feature her because they do obviously want us to be invested in her and think she should be in this position. So hopefully we can see that. But again, this is a solid match at best, and I don't think it was bad. The real bumps, like I said, was kind of like something I felt like they threw in there. Like I said, Lola was impressive again. And who knows? Maybe down the line, if they were to meet again, this would be better.
Yeah, without a doubt. May 28th, Impact, we had Santino versus Stacks. Aaron Grace interferes to prevent Santino from using the Cobra, and
Oh, what
Stacks
a
got
match.
Stacks got the win. Oh, it gets better. Indy Hartwell rushed to the ring to protect Santino, and she challenged Grace and Stacks to a match against herself and Santino next week. Oh, yes. It is not ending. The next NXT PLE has been announced. Great American Bash, which is June 28th. And yes, as you realise, it was one day after Night of Champions and the same night as Forbidden Door and Slammiversary. Can I just say, fuck everybody involved? You know, just fuck
Yeah.
them all. You know, even with TNA, they're like, oh well, at least we'll, Forbidden Door and NXT. No, no, don't worry, kid. Like, we're gonna fuck you over as well. I don't know.
It's just what we needed. It's just what we need. Like, oh man, let's just throw another show on top of this show. And it's just I don't understand. I don't know why. I don't again, it could be so simple because we all like it really could all be so simple. Like, could we just like not do this, do it this way? All I know is just not this way. It can be so simple, but it don't have to be this way.
Yeah, this is what people don't realize. It's like, well, what's wrong with four shows? It's like that's like three podcasts. Do you know what I mean? So that's
Right.
already 3 weeks from that. And again, it's not like we've had a 6 week, break or what 10 week break since stand and delivery. Like we could have had it in this, but again, WWE will be WWE. On to NXT June 2nd, and our first match was Zarya versus Lizzie Rain with Tate and Paxi on commentary. Rain came in with fire, and the offensive intensity of Zarya defined the first half of the contest, forcing the maiden Metten to fight from underneath. Rain did fight back. Eventually, it became too much. Zariah, fuck's sake, what is wrong with me in that name tonight? Caught Rain with a spear, followed by an F5 to seal the victory afterwards. Zariah threatened to beat up Rain more, but Tate and Paxi arrived to give a women's North American title shot next week. Jesus Christ. I want to give Zariah her due, but I'm struggling with her name. But I am a huge fan of Rain as well, who hasn't actually put a foot wrong yet. And another great way to start NXT. Like I said, they draw us in with a good women's match.
Yep. I think again, like you said, I don't know if I've seen a better kind of I mean, I'm pretty sure if we went through and we thought about it, it might be some better runs of like, but I think this has been really, really smooth. Like, I don't know how much they changed the Lizzie from what she did before WWE, like on the independents or whatever, because I know she had a fan base and she was popular before. But like compare the funny thing is she's in the ring with Zarya, and I think if we compare like how long it take, because like now they're finally, in my opinion, and again I don't mind the stuff with a chunk of the stuff with Sol Ruka was okay, but I feel like they're finally in my opinion, taking Zarya seriously and presenting her in a way that stature and that unique look really, really, begs for, in my opinion. And for Lizzie Rain, though, and somehow it just seemed like in the first six weeks or so, they've kind of hit a nice groove to where everything not only makes sense, but she's having good competitive matches. She's interesting. I think every match she has, the crowd is invested, and like I'm even like I said, I'm actually paying attention when she's on the screen. And like again, the placement has been on point also. So again, I really think she has a good future, and this is a really good opener. And I think they actually had like one of those matches where they felt like it seems like they already had a natural chemistry already, which is very funny, to me. And I do think what happened, that led to like Tatum basically saying, you get the title shot. I like that too because again, it makes Zarya just look very, very unstoppable. It's just her like, yeah, I'm just gonna beat your friend until you give me what I want. I liked it.
Exactly. It was all Sol Ruka, wasn't it, holding her back? That's the thing. But again, with Lizzie Rain, it's weird. She feels like an old NXT debut. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah,
someone that actually is going to come in and do something rather than just like, oh look, here's another athlete.
right. And I
Here's
think she
another.
benefits to where she don't feel like she needs. I don't feel like I think the difference is that a modern NXT debut, and we talk about it with these guys that are popping about nowhere. We gotta wait and see what they turn into. Like, do you have a Tatum Paxley in you, or are you gonna be Von Wagner? You know what I mean? Like, are you gonna develop into something that's very interesting, or are you gonna be something that we probably never really want to see? And I think when it comes to Lizzie Rain, much to like a Stephanie Valkyrie in a sense, she seems to come in with the energy of they don't necessarily have to change. We don't have to wait to see much. She's already into the fray of being interesting, and it's all about the timing with her. It's all about when she's gonna take over or be prominent or a champion.
Yeah, without a doubt. The next match was supposed to be Dark State versus Marlborough and Tavian Heights, but Sugar's attacked Cutler James in the crowd, causing the match to be postponed. I don't know where this new match being postponed thing has come from, but fucking they've used it all over this update. I'm not gonna lie. I'll never, just cancel the match. Anyway, later, the Heights and Bourne talked with Shaw Legacy and DVD about whether they should fight again or team up. LeCulling overheard the conversation related to their own communication issues. Izzy agreed to put her title dreams on hold for LeCulling. So we got LeCulling versus OTM. And despite all promises to keep his focus, Spears struggled to keep his team with Nico on track. It seemed like Nico was more interested in Izzy. And after accidentally running into Nico on the apron, Spears walked into OTM's elevated double slam finisher for the loss. I'm sure it's going to get better for Sean Spears. Jackson Drake versus Tate Wilder. Wilder took out Ricky Smokes and Brad Baylor, but Myla Lockwood laid him out with an apron, laid him out on the apron. Drake followed with a 450 splash for another victory for him and another loss for Wilder. Osiris Griffin interrupted up Stone, hyping Great American Bash, and laid out Jasper Troy with Dion Lennox. Lola Vice talked up her win over Izzy Dame, turning the focus on the next challenger. Kalani Jordan arrived to clearly state she wanted a title shot. Jordan questioned why Vice was loved while she was hating and ignored despite her own impressive accomplishments. Kendall Gray arrived with Ren Sinclair, reminding them she pinned both of them in the Iron Survivor. Vice told them they would fight next week if we fight the winner at Great American Bash. Jordan stole Vice NXT Women's Championship, called her to deliver a spinning back fist that accidentally hit Gray instead. We talked about Gray. Yes, she does need to work on promos badly, but the problem is that NXT have these bad promos basically near enough every couple of weeks anyway. Do you know what I mean? Like the women just kind of get bunched together in a group and it ends in a brawl.
Great question. Great point. Great question. How many good promos there are women anyway right now in NXT?
Yeah, man, that's
like,
true.
like you mentioned, like all three of them. And the funny thing about it, Kaylani, in my opinion, Lola, and like Kilda, they all are very similar in that fashion to me. To where it's like, I love them in the ring. I love what they can do, but when they talk, it's just like Jada Parker is by far the best talker in the women's division, like by far. But she's not necessarily as smooth or as good as they are as a wrestler. It's kind of weird. If Kendall or any of them could be as believable or as good as Jada is to me as a talker, these three would be like they would be on the moon already, like
Yeah.
easily. It's like insane to me. But some people you either have that believability or you don't. And I think that's really the thing is like even Lola, I don't mind what she says. It's just more so about how believable it is. Same thing with Kalani. I love the points that Kalani makes most of the time, but her voice and just like how she says it kind of can be like, okay, it is what it is. And I think Kendall Gray, obviously, like you mentioned, she needs more work in that regard. A lot of people make the Kurt Angle comparisons, and I do think she has a lot of great moves. But people forget Kurt was damn entertaining on the microphone too. So you got to get there anyway. I'm not saying you have to be funny. It's not always just about being funny. It's just about believability. It's about timing, and I think it's very interesting to me when you think about who's actually a good promo. And you're 100% right. Like whether you're good or not really don't matter in NXT because most promos in NXT are not that good.
Well, NXT showed Tristan Angels and Charlotte Hill's preparations for the Mr. NXT pageant with three categories: attire, talent, and public speaking. Hill and Tate Paxley talks about his plans for next week. When Hill left, Zarya attacked Paxley and F5. I tell you, Zarya is a fucking monster at this moment in time. It's great to I know we mentioned her at the start. Just go around F5 and people. Robert Stone advised Mason Rook in front of Tony D'Angelo that he would face Naraku next week to crown the next challenger for the NXT Championship. We've got the Men's Speed Championship. Lexus King versus Romeo Marino. After King escaped the rings of Saturn submission, Birthright tried to get involved, but the challenger dived onto everyone at ringside. Back in the ring, he fought out of a Canadian maple leaf, but missed a springboard moonsault to follow. King hit a drive-by into the coronation to win with seconds to spare. Yeah. Kiana Carver found an injured Tate Wilder in a training room because he's a fucking idiot and told him to stop being stupid, weirdly enough. EK Prosper offered to fight Carver. Kendall Gray wanted Ren Sinclair in the corner, but Ren told her she would stay more focused on her own. And then we got Miles Bourne and Tavian Heights versus Osiris Griffin and Dion Lennox. Heights and Bourne could not recreate their old magic as a team. Bourne got knocked off the eighth, followed by a Dark State Doomsday device to win. And Natty then met Jada Parker backstage and called her soft. Again, we've talked about them. NXT Championship, Tony D'Angelo versus Cam Hendricks. The champions forget about it, picked up a near fall. Hendricks tried to stack up Tony with his feet on the ropes, but the referee caught him cheating. Naraku and the late arriving Mason Rook made sure Hendricks could not cheat to win, set the stage for the back body drop on the announce table and a spine buster in the ring for the D'Angelo victory. Naraku himself presented the championship to Tony while Rook watched from ringside. The NXT confirmed Naraku versus Rook as a number one contendership match next week. Vic Joseph confirmed it and thought it was a major surprise. I said a lot of the building, as we spoke about, you know, with Dark State and stuff like that, and then the main event scene. And this is kind of Hendricks has now gone to the back of the line, so to speak, and we can focus on what's next.
Yeah, I agree. I think that's kind of what's going on here. Is like you said, we finally have. It's funny you said back in line. We have a line now, guys. We didn't even. I don't even think. I don't even think when Tony D had it at first that we, or when he first won the title, that we even had a line anymore because Ricky left. Ethan's gone. You know what I mean? Hendry's gone. So like, yeah, we literally did not have a line when Tony D won the title. And now we finally seemingly have a line for Cam Hendricks to go to get behind now since he just lost. And yeah, man, I agree. I think overall though, I like the development. I think Brooks, in my opinion, versus Naraku makes sense because like I mentioned, they've already kind of placed Evil slash Naraku in that position. You can already kind of tell that we're heading somewhere with that, with that. But then it's all about, in my opinion, like who else is there. I'm not really the biggest fan of Cam Hendricks, but much kind of like uh I think they've done this a couple of times. They give a person who is kind of new, they place him in the place of the and like keep him in the main event title picture, and like we know who we want to go towards, but we need some bodies. We need someone else in there. And the thing is, right now in our men's division, if they're not in a faction and a man, they're probably going to be a newer face. So, so like, I don't really have a problem with Hendricks. Maybe by this time next year, Cam Hendricks is one of the shining stars of NXT. Who knows? You know what I'm saying? But right now, yeah, Tony D got the defense out the way. He's looked pretty good in his victories. And and now like I said, it's between Rooks and Naraku, and I think uh that will be interesting to see what direction that goes in. But yeah, we finally seemingly have something of a tier. Now, I will say this. Right now, everybody, and maybe that's what it is. We got people in line for Tony D. We need some of these people to fall out of line and remember Miles Bourne exists. Because his belt also is he has in this batch of episodes he hasn't really done much North American title defending. Maybe that's a Heights thing. Maybe that's what Tavion or one of the Dark State guys to do. I don't know.
Yeah, without doubt. We get on to Impact June 4th, and Santino and Indy Hartwell teamed up to beat Stacks.
Uh,
Yeah, Ariana Grace. Indy grabbed Santino's Cobra and used it on his daughter. I'll tell you something else as well.
okay.
Santino was the most over in this match, so the story has helped no one. You know what I mean? That's good. It's good. You got Santino over. Oh yeah. Um,
Wow, that's very useful for Impact. Very useful.
And then the most impact thing as well, Knockouts champion Li Ying Lee faced and lost to Mr. Elegance. which is I mean, I know a lot of people don't watch Impact, but Mr. Elegance would be like,
I've
I
seen a little,
just trying
I
to
don't
think.
know. I've seen a little bit of Mr. Elegance, so I think I.
Yeah, Tristan Angels, but
Yeah,
not as good. Like I don't
not
know,
as
not as
good,
big.
not as
Um,
big at all. A
yeah,
much oilier Tristan Angels.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Very oily Tristan
I,
Angels.
I don't know what they're doing. I don't know if they're, well, we'll talk about in the next update. I mean, there's loads of changes happening in TNA, and to be fair, you can see why. why we're speaking about. It's not going to come as a shock. But yeah, that's what we're getting at the moment. But we're on to June 9th, which is the final NXT we are going to cover today. Doesn't time fly when you're having fun? And we started with Fraxian versus Noam Dar and Romeo Marino. Dar and Romeo finally got control late, locking both men in ankle locks. Romeo almost caught Fraser again with a small package, but Fraser kicked out. Dar and Romeo hit a double side slam, and then Fraxian followed up with a golden ratio and a Phoenix splash for the victory. But they, like I said, oh fuck, I went a week too early. Fraxian told Dar Romeo what a great tag team they were, and they hugged. But can we just have Fraxian back? Can Dar and Romero go onto the main roster, and we just have Fraxian in NXT? Like, do you know what I mean? Can we do that? Like, I
I
don't know.
don't think we can, but oh my God, what a great reminder this was of just how good they are. Like I remember so the funny thing about this is that this is from NXT I watched live, but I caught it live, but I wasn't completely caught up on everything that was going on. I had seen clips, but I didn't necessarily see everything that led up to this match when I watched this episode live. So I'm just watching live, and I remember I was like, "Oh, I saw Noam Dar was back. I was very happy, and I was like, why the hell is Fraxie on here? I was happy that here, like, hey, they're here, but like, why? And then I was like, who is this other guy? Guy in the ring. But as you watch the match, I'm like, oh my God, this match kicks ass. But of course, it had to set into me. It's kicking ass because it's Fraxium. Like, of course it kicks ass. Of course, this match is great. It's Fraxium. And then you got Noam Dar, who's also great. And then, again, Romeo Marino, in my opinion, didn't hold them back. Like, this was a damn good way. I don't know what they be. Again, that first, and maybe it's because they're desperate to keep people watching or get people watching, but whoever books the first 30 minutes to hour of this show, wow, they be going for the fences. NXT does that first 30 minutes up to that, up to that first, like you said, that first match, they're almost guaranteed to give you some of the best wrestling you're gonna see, in NXT. So this is really good, and like, of course it was, but it definitely just make you wish, like, you know what, man, just let us have Fraction. Like, can they do double duty? You're not using them on the main roster anyway, so just if they're gonna have catering, send them to it. If you know a week beforehand that they're not gonna have anything to do on television, you're not gonna prop Fraction him up in front of his home country. You're not gonna throw him out there randomly in front of his home country because the only time you seem to remember Axiom is there. Just send him to NXT. We need him desperately. Like, please.
This is the thing, isn't it? And again, we wouldn't be talking about them if they didn't do it. It's like, like having an ex who comes around and just says how well they're doing and how great things are. It's like, well, you're not, because otherwise you wouldn't be here talking to us, would you? Like that's that's kind of with Fraxton. Just come, just if you want to come back, just come back. Anyway, in the locker room, Vice wish Gray good luck and made clear she did not mean to hit her last week. That's good. And then we got the Mr. NXT pageant beginning after the first match of the night, where Tristan Angels and Shiloh Hill showed off their fashion choices for round one. And we got Kit Wilson, Evolved Men's Champion Aaron Rourke, who I weren't sure about, but I don't mind, and someone that I hate, Matt Matthews. It's just think about him, I just don't like. They gave the first round to Angels 2-1. And again, the thing that impressed me was Tristan's penis in a UK pants. Like, again, to see, I just made me proud to be British when we stand to attention, do you know what I mean? And sing the national anthem. Like, I was like, God damn, Angels, you do something like that, and it just shows you, I'm proud to be British.
What is up with you and penis? Between Andrade and Drew, I mean, you like him with a little foreign to you. Well, it's foreign to me, I guess. mostly
Yeah.
is like very
I
loyal to
like,
you.
yeah, there's only one, there's only one, yeah, there's two Britons there and one Spaniard
Never
or
mind,
Mexican,
never
sorry.
mind. So, yeah, you got a Mexican in there, but you got a Scots penis, and now you got your UK penis. Jesus Christ. Okay.
That's home nation of penises. That's what we need. We need- where's the Welsh guys? Where's the Welsh and the Irish? Come on.
I need you to find you some American girth to appreciate, James.
It's like what gets the character over with James? Has they've shown their penis? Well, I'm in. Do you know what I mean? God damn it. I'm still thinking of you, Alex, right as well. Yeah, anyway, moving on. Number one contender for the NXT Championship, Mason Rook versus Naraku. And these two men hit hard throughout this intense contest where Naraku found himself outsized by his opponent. Rook almost sealed the win after hitting a running corner Death Valley driver, but Cam Hendricks arrived, distracted Rook, who walked right into Enter the Abyss for Naraku, giving the former evil the victory. This was good stuff. I was a bit, I mean, again, I know it's interference, but to Rook to go down so soon after debuting. I was a little bit surprised, but like you said, Naraku is number two to Tony's number one at this moment in time.
Yeah, I think this is more of like again a placement thing, and I think long term, like to be honest, who I think would actually be NXT champion. I'm not saying Naraku won't win it. I would be more shocked if Rook don't end up champion before Naraku does. Now again, would Naraku win it and like take over? Would I be mad or opposed to it? No, I wouldn't be. I just think honestly, I think I can definitely see long term. If you're telling me if we're talking about NXT, we do an NXT update in about 6 months, and you tell me Mason Rook has a chance to be world champion, I would be our world champion by then, or maybe by next. They didn't even do stand and deliver at the right time. But yeah, stand and deliver. If you tell me about stand and deliver, Mason Rook is the world champion or winning it there, I wouldn't be surprised. But yeah, I mean, again, this was solid. I did have to like as I was watching this and watching the it be because again, this is a big guy and Evil. I wouldn't say he's usually the big guy. Like Evil's always been like a hybrid. Like every now and then he's bigger than the person he's fighting in New Japan, but he also plenty of times where he wasn't the bigger guy. But it was really interesting to watch him work this match. It's just cool to see him, for me personally, as a longtime fan, to just watch him do this in general. Because it's just like, again, it's just so different to what I have kind of become used to. Like I don't know about you, James. I was like, man, where's the show? Where's the Dick Togo interference? The more I watch him in NXT. But hey, I guess can't low key. We still, hey, it's evil match, and we still got some type of interference. Hey, don't you love that? But anyway, again, Naraku versus Tony D, like I said, it feels like the direction we've been going in pretty much since the warnings and the protecting mind investment stuff. So it makes sense, especially right now. But long term, don't be shocked. I think Rook is definitely probably going to be towards the top of the card for a while now. Maybe he may have a little stop and take the North American title or something, but before that, I mean, long term, I can definitely see him on top because obviously, I think NXT is invested in him, and he definitely has the potential.
Yeah, but we probably go to Miles Bourne and Miles is like, oh, you want a title shot? And he go, no, I'm just fucking with you. No one's interested. Miles, okay. Number one contendership for the NXT Women's Championship, Kalani Jordan versus Kendall Gray. Jordan tried to sneak attack Gray to start the match, but she ducked and went right onto the attack herself. Jordan nearly stole the win by countering shades of Gray into a pin with her feet on the ropes, but the referee caught her. Gray went for a dive, but fell into a super kick, followed by a five-star frog splash for a near fall. Jordan went for a springboard. Gray pulled her down into an armbar that nearly forced submission. Jordan looked in the heart of pain that injured Ren Sinclair, but Gray refused to quit, laid out Jordan with the shades of Gray for the win. And again, we have mentioned it. There's no doubt that Kendall Gray and Kalani Jordan are good in ring, and it showed it here.
Yeah, this was fantastic, man. Like this was another great match. Kendall Gray at this point, the funny thing about WWE sometimes is that we all know that the best wrestler always don't get rewarded. But this is like one of those situations when you watch Kendall Gray and you can just see that the management is behind her. I wonder, like, is it because they feel like she's the total package and they can maybe feel like they still can take some credit for why they're rewarding her for how good she is, or do they truly understand that she's just that damn good in this? it's been really entertaining to watch her put these matches together. Now again, Kalana Jordan looked great in this match too, and I can see obviously we talked about this in the past with Kalani. She's kind of had the pieces in the ring for a long time, and it's really cool to watch her have great chemistry with the Kim Gray. She even have pretty good chemistry with Lola Vice to me, and we know Kim Gray has good chemistry with Vice. So again, I think towards the women's world title at this moment, even though this is a contendership match, those three or four women at the top really have good chemistry together. And again, I thought this was another kind of match expounding on the pretty good chemistry, and they go for it. I do think the one thing that bothers me, it don't really bother me, it's like one of those preferential things that you watch Kim Gray do all those awesome suplexes and all the talent, all the great athletic stuff that she can pull off, and then her finisher is just like a flatliner.
Yeah.
It's always funny to me. I don't know what it is about the trusty old jumping type flatliner or why it ends up being one of everyone's finisher. I don't hate it. It's just one of those moves that's just a move to me. It's just like okay,
Uh,
but maybe I'm just jaded by years of watching like One Wing Angels and shit. But still, I'm not saying she needs to change anything. I wonder why she, maybe as a heel, if Kim Gray ever turns heel, maybe she'll finish people with submission hold. So I kind of see that more as her thing. But again, I don't hate it. The complete shot is what it is.
yeah. No, I tell you again. If I see another variation like a code breaker as a finisher, I'm just gonna fucking scream. Do you know what I mean? Like I don't want to zigzag. I don't want to just come up with something else. Like is there not? Is there not anything else? Anyway, back to Mr. NXT. Hill dominated the talent competition, showing off his Rubik's Cube. That's not a euphemism. And his juggling skills. Angels tried to interrupt and show he was better, but without success. The judges ruled 3-0 to Hill. Tony D promised victory against Naraku, only to be interrupted by another kanji box from Naraku, who told Robert Stone later it was an invitation to Tony. Tate Wilder got a highlight video explaining his feel-seeking ways. Fuck him. Keanu Carver questioned Stone's judgment on choosing title contenders and warned he would take his fate into his own hands soon. And Tavian Heights Miles Bourne ran into the Vanity Project. Tavian challenged Jackson Drake next week. Winner will face Bourne at Great American Bash. And then we got Dion Lennox versus Jasper Troy. On the Titantron, Sugars teased that Lennox needs to watch his back during the match, distracting for Troy to make his comeback. The distraction was not enough to turn the tide, though, as Lennox ducked a Vader bomb and hit a jackhammer for victory. Afterwards, Sugars reappeared on the Tron in a pre-recorded distraction, allowing him to take Griffin out with a baseball bat. Yeah, we knew he was going to do it. Like you said, he's going to take out every member of Dark State. It's easy.
Yeah, I mean, again, I don't think sometimes I don't. You know what? The way this show is booked, they don't think anybody's doing what we're doing, James. Maybe something's wrong with it. Like, why do we watch everything? Because we just watched the world. I know he's the world champion, but we watched the world champion beat the whole faction by himself in a matter of weeks. Like we've seen it. Like taking out Dark State is not that difficult to do, and it's even less difficult with just three people. All I gotta do is take out one guy a week, and we've seen it. So yeah, I mean, we like you said, I called it. The Dion Lennox, by the way, I don't know, y'all. You gotta convince me, James. Why? Why? I don't. Hey, I'm gonna start. I'm gonna start something, James. I don't want to because he's so young, and I don't like giving up on somebody so soon. But it's just like, what are we doing, James, with this Jasper Troy stuff, huh? Like, what are we doing?
No.
Like, hey, he's close. He's getting the Von Wagner status. Like, I can't believe they let them wrestle 10 minutes. Like Dion, I kind of can see something, but Jasper Troy is not interesting whatsoever. The look is not good. It's just he's some type of baby face, I guess, and he does not seem like he's supposed to be a baby face. It ain't work. And then the Dion Lennox, I don't even know. I don't think he's that good either, but he's better than Jasper Troy. But anyway, yeah, taking out Dark State, as you saw, as we've seen now 2 times, is pretty much they might be the easiest faction I've ever seen taken down by one guy. You don't even got to find partners, James. You don't have to find partners.
I think I could beat Dark State with strong wind behind me. I really
Exactly. Like you don't. It's not. They can't even do the numbers game right. Like it's bad. It's bad.
NXT highlighted Jada Parker attacking Natalia during a training session earlier in the day, and then Mr. NXT. Finally, the two finished with public speaking in front of the live NXT crowd. Angels ran down his competition. The fans, while Hill talked about his journey and hardships. Matthews and Wilson split the votes, and Rourke left the decision to the fans, and the fans gave the win to Hill. Angels laid out Hill afterwards and told him that Mr. NXT was his birthright. So there was no point whatsoever in anything that went on there. But again, at least we saw, I say, a different side to Angels. We know Angels' gimmick, you know? And with, with Shiloh Hill, it's just they're trying now to make us care, you know? And it's, I don't know. I don't mind him, but I don't know if I care about him. Do you know what I mean? It's, I don't know.
He's goofy. Bo Dallas.
Yeah.
Like I don't know if Bo Dallas if Bo was missing teeth. I don't know. I got nothing for you. I mean, I really don't like. I agree. I don't really feel much. I don't hate him either. Like he's fine. But I'm not really. The thing is and again, I say this with Tony D'Angelo as our world champion. The thing is when you when you got like a certain type of gimmick. I think for me, maybe this is my problem. I look at sometimes when I look at NXT talent, I try to see do I see this being a prominent fixture on Raw and SmackDown somewhere doing something. And I don't know about that. I don't see nothing. I don't see that for Charlotte Hill in this current incarnation. But like I said, I didn't necessarily see the mobster ever being called up, and now he might be the leading male candidate to be on the main roster at some point. When you look at how they present him now. So you never know what can happen when it comes to Tony D. And to be fair, Tony D, one of the only people that can walk in. Let's say Owen Femi wins the world championship after WrestleMania. Tony D can debut and be like, "I beat you for a championship already," and people might go look it up and be like, "Wow, he did." You know what I'm saying?
How the
So I'm just
fuck
saying,
did Tony
right?
become a Grand Slam champion and
Right.
beat him
I'm
up?
a Grand Slam champion in NXT. Like
Beat
exactly.
over
Think
the
about
most successful NXT. Him and JC Jane are the two most successful wrestlers in like the last five. How did that happen? Like,
how. Exactly.
man.
Exactly. So
But
you never know, but I'm not like right now with Shiloh, I don't know. And I agree with you. I think at least for Tristan Angels, this did make me more aware of him, and I did find this entertaining from that element, in my opinion. I do think so far he's a little bit I do think they are so far making a joke out of him because come on now, James. Mr. NXT was your birthright, really? That's what you're gonna say? That's really you're gonna okay, really? Anyway, but I will say this. The thing is so far is although I look at him as a little goofy right now, I can definitely see uh a switch. Maybe if they add a mean streak to his character, you can see him being prominent too in the future. So we'll see with Angels. Give Angels a little bit of time, even though I do think right now he's being treated more of in the jokey vein. But we have to give it time everywhere else.
yeah, without a doubt. So our last match on the update is the Women's North American Championship. That main evented Tatum Paxley versus Zaria. And Zaria immediately came out and blocked fast, going for an F5 and hitting the spear for a near fall. Paxley countered one spear attempt with a double foot stomp, then went for a 450 splash. But Zaria ducked to land a second spear for a near fall. She then tried a suplex, but Paxley tripped her into the trio woe, followed by a coast to coast for another near fall. Both countered the other's finishers, but Zaria hit Paxley with an F5 on the floor, followed by a spear and an F5 in the ring to win the Women's North American Championships. Monty, yeah, I mean, it's kind of double-edged sword. Don't get me wrong, great matchup, but I was sad to see Tatum losing. But man, I was like, Zaria's finally fucking arrived.
I couldn't break it down much better than that, man, because I really came away thinking and hoping like I don't know. Again, this is why I kind of teased it earlier of thinking maybe Tatum Paxton can switch focus and go for the women's title because again, I can't get enough of her. Now after this match, because I watched it live, I saw people report again, and I can just go ahead and spoil that this ended up not being exactly true because they said she was saying bye to a lot of the fans. So a lot of people may have just kind of speculated that Tatum was gone right after this loss that she would probably be on to the main roster because usually like Ricky Saints did you say that that's a sign that that's your last NXT match and you're on the main roster before you know it. But that don't seem to be the case for Tatum Paxley, at least immediately. But yeah, man. So I'm hoping that they give her even more because again, I'm purely selfishly because I think she could be ready. I don't know exactly what the plans would be for her on the main roster, unfortunately, as far as like Raw and SmackDown go. Because like I said, the women's division in general is just in flux. One day you could be as hot as Stephanie Valkyrie, and the next day you could be off TV for months, or you could be like Julia, who, again, may have title reigns, but I don't necessarily know if she's kind of ever, I don't know if she's went anywhere, to be honest. Even with Blake Monroe, which another person I think they kind of took from us a little too soon in NXT. To this point, they've done much. I think she finally debuted recently, but like she's done nothing much more than vignettes. And I don't, and not that I don't think she can knock it out of the park because she's great. I'm just saying some of these people you're seeing how they're kind of rolling them out in the main roster. Hell, even with the guys, we talk about Ricky Saints and stuff like that. Like some of these people that we see them call up, you wonder if they wouldn't have benefited from like being the main focus of or leading the charge of NXT for another 6 months to a year. So I wouldn't mind Tatum Paxton sticking around and doing other things because although I think she is probably the most ready woman currently in NXT, I definitely can see her doing much more. This match was also really good, but like you said, I'm also in that same boat of Zarya finally living up to some of that promise and some of that stuff when she kind of came in with Stephanie and Julia. And I think maybe before it's all said and done, Zarya may be the one who benefits the most from like not being fast tracked past Sol Ruker or fast tracked past Julia or like Stephanie. She might be the one who benefits. Like at first, she took a hit because it felt like they wasn't really taking her seriously. She lost. Like even Jordan Grace. Jordan Grace is another great name that we've had. Look at all the names that we've had in this division. They kind of had a run, and then like you really could tell me Jordan Grace wouldn't benefit from being right now, being in the women's title picture right now, or maybe even the champion now that Jason James gone. If you see what I'm trying to say, like
Yeah.
Jordan Grace could be a great dominant women's champion right now in the low in like where we have it now. Not saying I don't appreciate what Lola is giving us. I'm just saying I don't know. I feel like we lost a lot of talent, and like when you think about what they're doing on the main roster, there's a lot of people who still haven't found their footing in the months since leaving NXT. So I hope they don't fast track a Tatum Paxley, and I think Zarya is low key now finally starting to reap the benefits of it being this clear spot for her to run this new era of NXT for herself because like you said look at what we talked about on this update, man. She has been very dominant almost every segment. She ends up standing tall, F5 it, and just looking like the baddest woman in on the brand, and like that's why it makes a lot of sense and it fit for her to become champion here because I think the momentum was definitely on her side in that regard. But as far as Tatum Paxley losing it goes, yes, I was also very like hoping like, man, I hope this ain't the end for her in NXT because she's such a star.
Yeah, without a doubt. Yeah, like you said, Tatum has been the standout on NXT Update now for a few months, I will say. So it would be a shame to lose her. But that's it. We'll leave it there because then next lump we'll catch up with will have Great American Bash in it as well. So Monty, what are your thoughts on NXT this update, basically? Because again, it's been a lot of building, a lot of building blocks.
Yeah, I'm trying again. I think for that very reason, I can't be too hard on these episodes. I do think it's still a lot of fluff, and we still have a lot of things that are not necessarily the most interesting. But like you mentioned, like based on where we are roster wise, and kind of like what I just hit on, we in the last 6 months, our roster has kind of just flipped, and we've had, and maybe you go back to a year. I mean, we've had our women's division was like one of the most talently loaded divisions to the point to where even with losing all that great talent that I just pointed out, we still, in my opinion, the women's division, in my opinion, NXT is still by far the highlight of this show. And I think they're starting maybe to get a little top heavy. I think like we talked about the women who are on top, but then you have the Tatum Paxes, then you have the Zarias, and then you have like a little bit of a drop off after you get past like maybe Jada Parker. and all. And then you got new faces who, you got Callie Armstrong coming in to make it. You got Lizzie Rain, who's gonna, in my opinion, I can see the potential in, and she's gonna quickly put herself up to that tier, that next tier. So the in women's division is in a great state, but I think, like we talked about earlier, we're finally with the Mason Rooks and with the Narakus and with, if you want to say Cam Hendricks, and even with the disintegration of Dark State, because I do think, to be fair to the men's division, we have a lot of them bogged down into factions who are not really like, we talked about birthright. Like, that's three, four, five men who are just teamed up together and they're not doing anything of prominence. Like, which one of those guys are gonna challenge, for the North American title or something like that? Because, like we talked about it, but basically in this particular batch of episodes, our North American champion didn't really do much. He came in and ran in a couple of times, had a tag match or two, but other than that, Miles Bourne was basically just here for 6 weeks with not much to kind of do. You know what I'm saying? So,
Yeah.
like, we need to spread that out and get more into that. Like, obviously our tag division is still shit. I don't even really want to talk about it. At this point, they might as well remember how they retired the women's tag belt. Might as well retire the males at this point. Like, what the hell? Like, we only can afford two teams at best at a time right now. And, like, so I don't know. I guess we'll have to wait and see, because we have so many changes, and like you said, they're obviously transitioning and trying to make contenders and make people care about these characters. Like, I think the whole Tristan Angel, Shiloh Hill stuff, although I do think it was definitely played for jokes and entertainment, it's trying to get you invested or care somewhat about Tristan Angels. Like you said, it's trying to make you care about Shiloh Hill. So I can't really be too hard on them because I understand the purpose of everything, even if everything is not necessarily my cup of tea. A lot of this stuff is not my cup of tea. We got some people that I know for a fact don't seem to be, you know, growing on me at all. And then we also have some people that I see some bright spots with. So we in a very middle of the pack, like, just kind of like middling feeling, in my opinion, overall in NXT. Like, like I said, it's some things I don't like. It's also some things I do like, but it's also some things where I understand where we're heading. And I think that's a good thing, but with NXT in a couple weeks, this can be 2.0 bad. I do think I do think you never know. Like, we could be looking at some 2.0 or some Impact type stuff, or we can get back to, like you said, like, more on the great side of things. Also, it's really, really weird, this transitional period this time. So it'd be eager. I'm eager to see where we are in like a couple months.
Yeah, I think right now with NXT, I go, oh, NXT, God. And then I watch it and I go, oh, it wasn't as bad. Even talking about it, it's like, it wasn't as bad as we thought. But again, the problem is that we're comparing it to NXTs of the past, you know?
Right.
So maybe, I don't know. I mean, again, if we don't do that, then it becomes Impact.
Yeah.
So, you know,
Exactly.
we have to have standards. But yeah, I think you're right. It's a really interesting time. I'm glad we caught up. Like I said, and the next lot will be Great America Bash. But that is it for now. Don't forget, across all social media, I'm fuck it. I've struggled today, I tell you. X at the WNR podcast. I'm at the WNR pod, James. You can find the entire WNR team on the banner. Monty, where can people find and follow you?
It's all right. You've been off. You got to refresh. We got to get our reps back in. It's okay. Look, we're gonna get better. We're gonna get right back better. But at my Monty Pod, and yeah, I got some things that I am working on. I'm just in the process of moving, and I'm also changing things every week. So just keep your eye out on that. I'm going to continue to try to find different avenues to get back to doing what I do, which is basically more of this, just talking. I talk too much. That's my problem.
Yeah, I should talk more and drink less. I think that's my issue. Maybe it will be changed with England in the World Cup going out to her. Who knows? But I hope they don't. But the Double also on Facebook and Instagram. Send us an email at podcast at gmail.com and YouTube, the Double Podcast, where we're celebrating 11 years of the WNR with shorts and clips. And what I've been doing recently is, it's not old games, maybe for you, Monty, but like going to my PS4 and seeing what kind of, so playing a bit of Deadpool, playing a bit of, I've been playing Sonic the Hedgehog recently as well. I know that's not a PS4 game, but and just dipping into that, and stuff, and people are like, "Where's the wrestling?" Don't worry, it's gonna come. It's gonna come. And the podcast is live on YouTube, also on SoundCloud, on your phone, and Spotify and iTunes, where you can download, subscribe, rate, and review. There, that is it. Our next episode will be the New Japan catch up. We're going to catch up with all of New Japan before we do Forbidden Door, Night Champions, or anything else like that. But until then, I've been James Rose, and I was joined by the mind of Monty. Thank you for joining. Fuck that up then. Thank you for joining, Monty. Another NXT update in the books. I'll put some new teeth in.
Thanks a lot, man. It's always fun.
Yep. And that, can I remember how to get out of it? Yeah. Okay. Right. So that is it, everybody. Thanks for listening, and bye.